Well, my friends, I'm back. I'm back with part 3 of my 5-ridge Garter Tab shawl that we're working out of Melissa Leitman's book, Knitting Modular. And mine is more, I'm doing more of a modified version of the stitch or the design or the chart in order to work up my own style, on my own design. Does that make sense? So now when I left, everyone was working. We had already worked 2 repeats of the pattern. And you were to continue to work. You will need at least 4, depending on how tall you are. You need at least 4 repeats of this pattern to give you some length in the center back. If you're taller, which most people are much taller than me, I did 4 repeats and then stop. You may try 5 repeats. If you're taller or you just want a bigger, wider shawl, then go 5 repeats. Because, like I said, we've worked it together, and so now you really should have it down really nice. All right, so now here's the shawl. I'm going to lift it up. Now you can look at your own sample now, but I'm just going to show you how it looks. This is Lions brand alpaca. And it's nice, it's soft. It's not something that I use often. You know, I'm not really that kind of a girl. And on this alpaca, there's little white hairs just popping out all everywhere. And I kept thinking my hair was falling out. So I keep wanting to pull these little white strands out because I'm thinking it's gray hair. Well, it's not. So, but you can see the nice, pretty lace. And like I said, you can look at yours. But tonight, we are going to talk about the bottom edge, the lace on the bottom edge. And when I have shared this before, but as I get into it and start sharing it with you again, and we're going to be doing this on a lot of these shawls, it was one of the best things that I taught myself. It's also one of the best knitting tips. I'm telling you, I don't care. I'm just gonna pat myself. It's one of the best knitting tips. I believe it'll be on YouTube. I really do, because I'm gonna show you how easy it is. That you don't have to be so smart or be so perfect or just know knitting and have knitted for years and years. I'm gonna show you how to just take a simple trick and come up with something nice. Like I said, if you like to work simple like I do. I just don't have the time and the strength in my body anymore to work up, work that thin yarn and makes, the real intricate stitches has just taken its toll, people. So I prefer what I call these sweater weight shawls. Out of a little heavier yarn, you wear it more like a sweater. It has the warmth of a sweater, but it drapes nice. And I can do anything that I want to do and put as much or as little detail in the shawl as I want. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you. You're going to love this. You're going to be surprised. So real quick, I just wanted to show you. I'm just going to pull it along here. It's very long. It's a nice size shawl. I'm just going to pull it along. Here's just one side. I'm just going to pull it along so that you can see how my finished shawl looks, and then we'll of course go to the sample. Now, see that? Just really nice. It goes all the way across, then it goes to this side. Let me move that out of the way. Hope I'm in camera range. All right, and all the way to this end. And like you said, if you're taller or you're just a larger person, then try 5 repeats. Because it's just that easy, and it's not really that hard. Like I said, take it one row at a time. All right, so let me get my sample, and we're going to have to do a little math, but I've made it really simple and easy so that we can get into this, and then I'm going to show you something that I've shared before, but it's worth sharing again. All right, I'll be back in just a minute. All right, so I have my sample here that, that I practice, that I work along with you. So now we'll have to pretend a little bit that I have, repeated the lace at least 4 times. And like I said, or if you're taller, 5. All right, so now I'm at the bottom of the shawl. So let's all get on one page. You have repeated your lace, and you are at the very bottom. Okay, and you probably have switched needle sizes too, just to give yourself more room, so that you know, if you have longer needles. Otherwise, this is going to be really scrunched up, but I think you'll be able to follow me and see. I'm going to take my time and walk you through these steps, and I'm going to try to do it really quick so that we can keep going. Okay, I want to get as much in as possible. All right, when you get to the last row, row 24 of the lace, and you say, okay, Jay, I have repeated it however many times you want, and I finished row, what was it, 24? That purl, the last purl row. All right, so now I want to stop. We want to kind of finish off this lace edge and all these other stitches, because we have regular stitches, lace stitches, border stitches. So I simply want you to continue to make the increase here on this end and on this end, but all the stitches I want you to knit all the way around, all the stitches. Just knit. We're cleaning up so that I don't have all these different stitches and lose yarn overs or whatever. You just take your time and knit all the stitches all the way up, you know, from one side to the other side, making sure you use to do the appropriate increases still on this side. Then, of course, when you get to that, when you knit, then you're going to turn, and then you're going to do the increase on the wrong side, the yarn over, and now you're going to purl all the way back. Just purl all the stitches, and then increase on that side. Now, when you turn, once you finish that and you turn, you're going to have a nice clean edge right here, especially in the lace. You see all the stitches now are closed off. We're not going to lose anything. It ends the stitch real nice, and the stitch is just not ended kind of willy-nilly. Everything is sealed off and looks really nice and neat. Alright, so knit a row, purl back, but make sure you keep the increases. You don't have to do anything on the chart. You just knit and purl. Alright, now once you do that and we're on the right side, now I'm turned and I'm on the right side. This is where I want you to get a pad and a pen, because this is what I need for you to do so that we can get into a little math. The markers are still in place. I have all my markers. You didn't take any markers out. You just knit. You just did that one row of knit and you purl back, but you left all the markers in. See? Now I want you to take your time, and I want you to count all the stitches, not the border stitches, but anything after that marker there. Count all the stitches. Just take your time and count them. Just count your stitches all the way up to your chart marker, all the way up to this marker. Stop. Then I want you to have it on your pad. I want you to take it and write down whatever that number is. Now like I said, this was my practice piece, so I'm having to kind of make up some numbers, but it doesn't matter as long as you follow me. Yours will work out just fine. Let's see, can I get my pen to write? Well, I didn't think ahead of time, did I? Let's see, okay. Alright, so whatever the number is, you're going to count. Alright, there's that number. Say 61. Alright, then stop and start it all over again. Don't run it all together. I want you to count each section of the shawl. Now, on this side of the marker, count all the lace stitches. Take your time, really count it. Count it. Count your stitches. Write that down. Let's see, maybe I'll just make up some numbers here, because I have no idea. You know, I was just, we'll say 40, I don't know, 43. We'll say 43. That's just what I have in my little sample. But you have a long shawl. You have a whole lot of stitches. I'm just using this to show you how we're going to work the math. Alright, and then once you do that section, you're on the last section, you come to this marker and you start again. You know, 2, 4, 6, 8. Count all the way up to this marker. You don't have to count the border. The border is going to stay intact. All we want are the stitches between this marker and the other marker, other end marker. So usually these two should match. If it's off a stitch or so, don't worry about it. That's what we're going to get ready to do, to even everything out so that we can make this lace fit our shawl. So for instance, I have this number, and then you will just, I'll get my little calculator, but then you will add that up and stop. Do that, and then we're going to talk about the math. All right, I'm going to walk you step by step, and I'm going to take it slow. All right, I'll be right back. I'm going to get my calculator. That will give you time to count and really take your time and then write it down. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so here is the simple math, how to work the simple math. Let me just see, can I pull that over just a little bit? Try to get it straight in the frame. All right. Trying to see if my camera's lined up. Can you see that? All right. On my original shawl, now my numbers might be off a little bit because I had to, I was designing, I had to knit, unknit, change some things, try to get all this worked out. But whatever your numbers are, after you count, you write them down here. And for instance, I'm using 112 stitches for one side of the shawl, then 77 for the lace, after I count it, and then 112 stitches here. When you add those three up, I get 101 stitches, 301 stitches right here. Can you see it? I just simply add those three up, and I have 301. All right, so now I'm giving you the lace number. Everyone, everywhere, you're going to use the number 7. I hadn't showed you the lace yet, but number 7 is the number for the lace. So I'm going to divide 301 stitches by the number 7. All right? All right, it comes out. The closest I can get to kind of stay under that number is 43. So 7 times 43 will give me a number, but it wasn't a good number. It wasn't like a nice even number. It was just, so I want to go over that number. So I'm going to just go up and take 7 instead of 43. I'm going to take 7 times 44. 7 times 44, you'll be using 7 too, and whatever. 7 times 44, I'm going to get 308 stitches. That's a better number to work with because it's nice and even. That's just how many times the lace, 7 stitches, I can repeat it 44 times across the bottom of this lace, and I will have 308 stitches. Does that make sense? Real easy. All right, now over here, when I added these three up, I still only have 301 stitches right now, or whatever your number is. When you added these three, that's what you have right now. Well, how many stitches then do I need to add to this 301 to get up to 308? 308. Well, I'm going to add 7 stitches. If I add 7 stitches to 301, I will get 308 stitches. Okay, that means we're just going to be adding some stitches. All right, then I'm throwing in a little separation. After we do the 4-stitch border, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slide the marker. Okay, I'm giving you 3 more. I want 3 more stitches in there. I'm going to add 3 stitches on one side and 3 stitches on this side of the shawl. So 3 and 3, that makes 6. So now I have to add these 6. Everyone will add 6 to whatever this number is. So mine is 308, so I add 6 to 308, and so my total number that I'm going to be increasing, 301, which is what I have on my needles right now, I'm going to increase it by 13 stitches. I believe it's 13. Let's see. Yeah, by 13 stitches, because I'm adding 7 and 6. So that'll be 13, which will bring me a total for my shawl on my long row, 314 stitches. That means I have all the lace. I have however many repeats I'm going to need to make it nice and even, plus 3 extra stitches that we're going to use to try to keep a little separation from that border, the 4-stitch border. Does that make sense? Can you look at yours, at your numbers, and can you see how you can work this too? All right, I'm not going to add any more because that just confuses people. I'll just leave it on the screen for a minute. You look at it and just just listen to me and just walk each step through. Simple, simple math. I just needed to increase all these stitches on the needle so that I can fit the lace bottom edge in. That way, what I'm about to show you, I don't have to go back and get one of her charts, another whole chart. I got to learn a whole new lace. I got to do 15 or 16 or 18 more rows to get her shawl, to get her lace in at the bottom. Yes, it's beautiful, and you might want to do that if you are a seasoned or advanced knitter. I just don't want to put that much time. I just want something really, like I showed you, something really pretty and simple to end the shawl, and I want to do it in a smart way, which is what I will be sharing with you. Alright, so now here's my sample, and I know I need to do, I'm on the right side, so now I want to knit. Now that we've already figured up how many repeats, I don't want to keep adding this repeat right here. You know, our regular repeat that we normally do on the front and the back. So I'm going to knit 4 and then just start knitting again. And this time I'm going to just, you can eyeball it, whatever the number you need to increase. I need 13 stitches to get my number, get these stitches up to the right number so that everything will fit. Does that make sense? 13 stitches. So let's see, 3 times 4 is 12. So I could do, just in this section, I can maybe do 4 increases, knit into the front and back. In other words, knit a few stitches, knit into the front and back. Knit a few more stitches, knit into the front and back. Knit some more, knit into the front and back of a stitch until I have 4 or 5. You can go ahead and do the 5th one. Then when I get here to the lace, okay, I could do, you can do the 4 or you can do 3. And then make up the difference over on this side so that you have the same number of stitches. All I want to do is to make sure that I add 13, and I will have a little piece of paper, my little pad. So if you get distracted, you won't have to try to go back and, well, did I do 13 or did I do whatever your number is? So I'm going to mark as I make an increase. I'm going to mark it on my little pad. All right? So that's what I want you to do. Do your increases, whatever it is, and then stop. And then I will be back and tell you the next step. So it takes just a few minutes, but it's not hard knitting, and it's not anything. It's a lot better than going and finding a new chart and starting all over and trying to make all those rows and all those repeats fit in. I'm going to show you the smart way to do it. Alright, I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to do my increases, and then I will be back. Wait for me there. Okay, so I have on my sample, when I gave you on our little printout sheet, on the sheet I was writing on, that was for the real shawl, for the larger shawl. On my little sample, I figured up how many little increases I needed just to get this sample done. So that was on the right side. So when I finished doing all the increases, and I did a little tally sheet to make sure that I had all, so I don't have to sit there and count all those stitches again. And people, don't be afraid. Just say if you miscount or something happened as we get near when we start doing the lace, we can always add a stitch or take away a stitch. It's the main thing to get the idea of the steps and to keep the steps in order, because we're going to use the same steps pretty much for all of these charts and shawls and different things that I'm going to be sharing with you. So once I did the increase, now I'm on the wrong side. Well, guess what? That's the wrong side, and we would just purl. But this time we are going to create a garter ridge on the front, so we simply need to knit on the wrong side. Now we're going to just knit all the stitches on this wrong side. And I'm going to start with my border, my 4-stitch border. Just check my camera, see where I am. See if I'm in the camera range. I've got some lights. I'm trying to bring in a little more lighting. I don't know. Okay. So you just knit. That's all. Nothing. Just Elementary, my friend, elementary. So knit, slide the marker. We don't have that we haven't done any increases. We stopped those increases, so you don't have to worry about that, but you just slide your marker and just keep right on knitting. Knitting this row on the wrong side will form a garter ridge on the right side, so there's some separation between the original lace and then the lace that we're going to add. So all I'm doing, I'll just do a few stitches, then I'm going to stop. Just take your time. And this will hide where we did the increases that, you know how you do knit into the front and into the back. That was the increase we used. I hope I said that, but I think I did. Since I didn't do it on camera, you just knit into the front and the back of the stitch sometimes, and it'll leave a little purl-like bump, but this will hide it. This will cover that. Now I'm going to stop and just turn it over so that you can see my garter ridge has started to appear on the right side of the work. Can you see that? So that's what it's going to make, set aside all the lace and everything. So continue to work all your stitches. You have a long row. And then I will be back and we will talk about the lace and see if we can go ahead and get started. All right. Again, we are knitting on the wrong side, which will create a garter ridge row on the right side. See it? All right. I'm going to finish mine off camera and I'll be back shortly. All right, so let's see. Can we go ahead and get started so I can get you started on the chart. Same chart, same rows we worked before. I suggest to get a couple of just 2 stitch markers. We're going to leave the first stitch marker that separates the border, but as we knit across, we can take out all these other stitch markers from from when we worked the chart the first time. So we have 2 rows, excuse me, row 7 and row 9. So we start at row 7, but we have to, you remember those 3 stitches that I added to kind of separate this, and let me see if I'm on and if I'm going to be in a good place to demonstrate. See how it goes. This is all trial and error, people. And if you've already took a screenshot of the chart, you just pull that out. If you can't, I'm going to see how much I can, how close I can get this. All right, so first thing I want to do, here we go. We're going to get started. Putting our lace. So I knit the 4-stitch border. That's the same as before. So I knit, and then I have a marker. Now, this is where slide the marker. This is where those 3 stitches are going to come in. All right? I'm going to, as soon as I slide the marker, I'm going to yarn over. Then I'm going to knit 2 stitches together. Yarn over after that marker, knit 2 stitches together. Ooh, what kind of plane is that? And then knit 1, stop. There are my 3 stitches that I added onto our sheet when we were figuring up all our numbers. I have 4 stitches for the border, a marker, yarn over, knit 2 together, then knit 1, then put a marker. Now that marker will tell me where the actual row, where we're going to actually start the lace. Alright, I have it highlighted. We do not need the yarn overs before and after on any of this. Just what's highlighted. I did it in orange so you could see it. Now I'll have to see if it shows up actually on the, if you can see it. So let me read it. Row 7. It reads, knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, and knit 1. Stop. So let's do that. Alright, I knit 1, yarn over, do a slip, slip, knit, knit 1, knit 2 stitches together, okay, yarn over and knit 1. Stop. I'm going to count and see if I have 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. Now I simply come back up to the beginning of row 7 again. I'm going to continue doing this one line all the way across. You have a long row. And like I said, if you just take your time, because it's so hard, we're doing like 40 something repeats, 44 or whatever, I would not put place markers. I think that will slow you down, and so I would just simply come back up to the beginning and let's go again. Knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Alright, knit 1, knit 2 stitches together, yarn over, and knit 1. Stop. Now you won't see much on this first row because it's right up under. We could have knitted another row, but that's just delaying it. I decided to go ahead and start it, so it's going to be a little jumble up this first row right up under our garter ridge. But we're going to continue. Go back up to the front again. Row 7. Again, it says knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit 1, knit 2 stitches together, yarn over, and knit 1. Once we get across and we actually start working it back and forth, we're going to work by landmarks. That's why I wanted to introduce you to the little concept of knitting by landmarks, and so that you won't have to try to mark 44. Put 44. Okay? So, again, you just take your time. Now I'm going to put this marker to stop the lace. Okay, so now I want to do just the opposite than when I started. When I started, after I did the knit 4 for the border, and you slide the marker, then you yarn over. I want the yarn over right near this marker. So yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 1. So I'm going to start on this side right here. Knit 1. Okay, then knit these 2 stitches together. You see that? Then yarn over, slide the marker for the border, and then knit the 4 stitches. Now, this first row is the most important because everything we will build on this first row. And if you short a stitch, you just back up and try to think through it to see what. I was short a stitch, but it fell into those 3. So I made a stitch so that I would come out so all of my row 7 would end in the right place. Now listen, once I finish that, you can look at it, you can turn. You won't see much right now, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. You just want to come out right. Then when you turn to the wrong side, okay, you're going to do just like we did before. We're going to knit the 4 border stitches, slide the marker, and then purl all the stitches. Purl all the way to the opposite end and knit the 4 border stitches. Easy peasy. That will be row 8. Does that make sense? We don't have to work any pattern on row 8. It's just purling all the stitches. So now I'll do that off camera and let's see if we can see anything when I come back. Okay, I wanted to go ahead. You know I'm working in the midnight hour. But I wanted to get this done so I can work on it tomorrow. so then I can come back and give it any finishing touches. Alright, I have worked row 7 on my sample, on my small sample. Let me see if I'm halfway in the camera. Whew, I'm telling you, trying to figure all this out. Okay, so I have worked all the way across on my little sample here on row 7. Then row 8, I purl back. Now I am ready for row 9. I just wanted to get you started on it. Just so that if you're like me, we're going to be working a lot of this off camera because your rows are so long. Alright, so you start out, just get everything in order here. Alright, row 9 of our lace section of the chart reads, knit 1, 2, yarn over, then you do a slip 2 stitches, knit 1, then reach back and pass those 2 slip stitches over and off. Then a yarn over and then knit 2. Alright, I'm going to read it again. Then you bring your eye back up. I'll just read it again, just make sure it's nice and smooth. Knit 2, 1, 2, see? Knit 2. Yarn over. Slip 2 stitches, knit 1, reach back and pass those 2 slip stitches over and off, yarn over, and then knit 2. And then back to the front and repeat. So, now we're going to build, and now we're going to work from landmarks. Alright, so here we go. I'm starting with knit 4 and slide the marker. On the right side, remember, I'm going to yarn over, knit 2 stitches together, and knit 1. That takes care of those 3 stitches that I added just for a little insurance. Then I slide the marker that lets me know, alright, you're ready to start the lace. And now, we're going to start, and then we are also going to be looking we'll be noticing landmarks. You're going to notice how the stitches fall on the previous row 7. So on row 9, it starts with, at the orange, not the yellow, but the orange, knit 2. So I'm going to knit 2, 1, 2, then yarn over. Then I'm going to do now look for the slip, alright? Slip 2 stitches, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over. So I know I got to have 3 stitches together, and there they are, the landmark, right there, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to slip 2, knit 1, reach back and pass those 2 slip stitches over. Just like that. Then yarn over again. Now I'm going to knit 2. 1, 2. Now this is what I meant to say. You're going to see a column of 2 stitches to separate all these repeats. So that's why I really didn't need any markers. Alright, back up to the front of row 9. Alright, it says knit 2. 1, 2, yarn over. Then you have where you have the 3 stitches. Slip 2, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over. I need 3 stitches, and there they are. So I slip 2, knit 1, reach back and pass the slip stitches over and off. I'm going to see if I am too far over. Okay, I could be a little bit. Okay. Over and off. Then you have to yarn over and knit 2. 1, 2. Alright, still hard to tell the pattern, but once it starts popping out, it is pretty. Alright, back at beginning of row 9, knit 2. Let's see where that falls. Knit 2, 1, 2. See, 1, 2. Then yarn over. There's those 3. Slip 2. Slip 2. Then knit 1. Then reach back and pass that slip stitch over and off. Yarn over and knit 2. 1, 2. Back to the front of where the orange, knit 2, 1, 2, yarn over. There's those 3 stitches, slip, slip, knit. Reach back and pass those slip stitches over and off. Okay, yarn over and knit 2, 1, 2. I'm going to stop a minute. I'm going to spread it out just to see if I see any pattern that starts to develop. Oh, I think I can finally see a little pattern that's coming out. It's beginning to pop now. Of course, you can't tell it. You still can't tell it like you can see it on the green because that's a complete pattern. Let me get some more. Alright, so I stop with knit 2 at the end of row 9. So I bring my eye back up to the beginning, not to the yellow, but to the orange. Alright, I knit 2, 1, 2, yarn over. Where are those 3 stitches? There we go. Slip, slip, knit. Reach back and pass the slip stitch over and off. Yarn over and knit 2, 1, 2. So that is row 9 as you start to work across your long row on your shawl, putting in this simple easy lace, 2 rows, 2 pattern rows and 2 purl rows. Alright, I'm going to work some off camera and hopefully I can come back and show you what some of it looks like on this particular color yarn. Take care, and just like I say, you're working and watching for landmarks. Recognize where you are and it will be a breeze. Alright? See you in just a bit. Okay, just so that I can finish up, I came back just to say note to self. On this end of your shawl, as you work row 9 and you get to this end and you have your marker, alright, you have 3 stitches left. You're going to work these 3 stitches just reverse than when we started. When we started, it's you knit the 4 border stitches, slide the marker, then yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 1. On this side, you're going to slide the marker to stop the lace, then you knit 1, just the reverse, knit 1, okay, then knit 2 stitches together, then you have to yarn over, slide the marker, and then knit the last 4 border stitches to keep that eyelet row going. It's not really increasing, but it just keeps a nice eyelet row because we're knitting 2 together right after we yarn over or before we yarn over. But just work this side in reverse. So now when I turn the work, I'm on the wrong side, and just to get you started again, I have just finished row 9, so this will be row 10. I will knit the 4 border stitches, just like we've been doing all along. Alright, then yarn in front, slide the marker. Now purl all the stitches across until you get to the last border. Alright, I'm going to leave it with you now to just work at your own pace. On my shawl, I think I did 5 repeats. I just went 1, 2, 3, I just kept going till I had at least 5. Then when you decide where you want to stop this lace on the bottom, of course, you need to knit across. I like to clean up all the stitches, so you just knit across. You're going to knit 4 rows. In other words, you just knit and then knit back, knit again, and when you knit back on the last row, you should be on the wrong side, and you will be binding off on the purl side with the knit stitch. You know how I do it. You know how I like to do it from the purl side. Bind off on the purl side with a knit stitch, and that's it. And it just gives you, let me see if I can put the other one up real quick. I was getting ready to say my goodbyes and I forgot that. But I was trying to think of anything. Let's just look at it real quick just so that you have you can see it. All right, now here is the one in alpaca, and you see how I just did, let me see if my camera's on. Let's see if I can bring it closer to the lights. See, it's so hard to see this green maybe. But I just simply did a few rows at the bottom, and then I did the bind off on the wrong side with the knit stitch. For that lace, and I repeated it 5 times. And of course, you're gonna, whatever yarn you chose, you have to know how you, whether it can be steamed or wet blocked or whatever. This was alpaca, so I just steamed it because I don't put all this wet yarn all over my house. I just lightly steamed and hand ironed it into shape. You can pin it, whatever you need to do, but it worked out really nice and fast. And then at the end, if you are a tassel person, make a beautiful tassel. I'm a fringe person, so I always do a big plume of just a plain fringe in. And when I have time, I'm going to go back and do a real quick video for just fun when we need a break. You remember I do shawl dangles? I take some of the beads and I make shawl dangles. They're the little things that dangle at the end of your shawl. Let's see if I have one up here. I don't know if I have one I can get off real quick. Here's one right here. This is a shawl dangle. And it's just beads and some chain, and it's fun, and a little clasp, a little lobster clasp. And it goes at the end along with your, if you do a, what do you call it? A tassel. You already put your beads in there. I don't really do tassels well or something, so I like what I call shawl dangles, just to add on to someone. If it's someone in the church, you can put a little cross on there. I have some beautiful, I have some beautiful angel beads I've never used, little angels. So that would be real cute. So I might do some angel beads just to have. So now I can say my goodbyes. now I can say my goodbyes. Let's just pull that in so maybe you can see it a little better. As I said, I hope you join me in this series, because this is what, look, it is what it is. And I'm calling this my year of happy knitting. I'm gonna stretch and reach. I'm gonna just plow through and show you, put as much in here as possible, because people, I don't know how, I don't know when my time will be up that I will not be able to, or feel like even doing all the work it takes to just to produce one of these little videos. I'm telling you, it just almost knocks me out for days after I complete one. So I want to get as much in here and give you, like I said, as much bang for your bucks. But the main thing is we're in it together. I thank you. I couldn't do it without you. We are a team, and I am so grateful. So this is Jay. This is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. So to all my friends, everyone, everywhere, and every size, thank you, and I will see you back very soon. And be sure to look out for the next Jay's Stitch tutorial. So, bye-bye.